Hello and welcome to the Grand Prix World Series. My name is Topher Smith and today we have the season-ending Macau Grand Prix. The regular season has already finished, we have our champions, and now we have to find out who will be the victor of the third ever Macau Grand Prix. At the end of the regular season, the top 13 teams across both leagues qualified for today's Macau Grand Prix, determined by the number of total points across the season. And at the top of the entry list is Onyx Grand Prix, Ryan Ferris' team, collecting the most points and enters in as team number 1 today with Kevin Estre and Scott Dixon. Arrows were the second most scoring team with Rosenquist and Franz Rosenquist being our League 1 Drivers' Champion. Ducati were the top League 2 team with Brendan Hartley and Shane van Gisbergen entered today, the latter of those the League 2 Drivers' Champion. While also qualifying for today, we have Fomital with Antonio Felix da Costa and Kevin Magnussen, Cooper Kiro with Jamie Whincup and Nick Tandy, and Cooper Kiro along with the Jaguar team of Joseph Newgarden and Earl Bamber stealing promotion into League 1 for next season at the last round in Buriram in what was a highly exciting season finale. Lola just missed out on promotion into League 1, but they have qualified for today's Macau Grand Prix. They have Marcus Ericsson and Kalle Rodman-Pira riding for them today. HRT has Scott McLaughlin and Luke Browning. Lancia has Roman De Angelis and Yaya Fei. And Minardi scored a couple of victories across the course of the season, and they will be looking to add one more trophy to their cabinet today with either Ryo Hirakawa or Pascal Wehrlein at the wheel today. And also qualifying for today's Macau Grand Prix, Zach Speed with Johnny Adam and Julian Anlauer, BAR with Philip Hansen and Philippe Albuquerque, and Force India managing to get that last Macau Grand Prix slot today, with Raffaele Marcello and John-Eric Verne looking to give Force India something to write home about this season. And just before we go through the grid for today, just a reminder that all of the teams for today's race have had their power and reliability equalised. So they have an equal footing going into today's race, with setups and drivability being the only differentiating factors. So it is anyone's guess as to who is going to win today. With that in mind, let's take a look at the grid. And it is Raffaele Marcello in the Force India who absolutely blitzed the field in qualifying, almost a quarter of a second clear of anyone else. Kevin Estre in second place in the Onyx, the reigning League 1 team's champion, second on the grid today. Johnny Adam, a good qualifying by him, third in the Zach Speed ahead of Jamie Whincup in the Cooper Kiro. Shane van Gisbergen, our League 2 Drivers' Champion, will start 5th today and will be looking to get himself onto the winner's step of the podium today. Roman De Angelis and Yaya Fei, the two Lanciers together in 6th and 7th, ahead of Philip Hansen, Pascal Wehrlein and Nick Tandy rounding out the top 10. 11th goes to Earl Bamber, who won last season's Macau Grand Prix and will be looking to go back-to-back today. Julian Anlauer 12th in the second Zach Speed ahead of Scott Dixon in the Onyx. Philippe Albuquerque 14th in BAR ahead of our League 1 Drivers' Champion Felix Rosenquist. John-Eric Verne 16th ahead of Brendan Hartley, Joseph Newgarden, Mark Dixon and Kevin Magnussen in 20th. The Fomital team not at all happy with how their qualifying went today. Robin Fries 21st ahead of Scott McLaughlin, Kalle Rodman-Pira, Antonio Felix da Costa, Ryo Hirakawa and Luke Browning propping up the field in 26th. The entire field within a second of each other, but Raffaele Marcello clearly the class of the field as far as qualifying was concerned. But can the Swiss-Italian keep that form going into the race? There is only one way to find out. This will be the way to end the season here in Macau. Who will emerge as our third ever Macau Grand Prix winner? Let's waste no more time. Let's hand over to Tom Cairns, ready and waiting in the commentary box. So Tom, who is going to be our Macau victor today?
Here we are for the third edition of the Grand Prix Series Macau Grand Prix. Raffaele Marcello on pole with Kevin Estre alongside, as the drivers are looking to end their seasons on a high. Lights are on. Lights off, it's go, and it's a simple getaway for both of the front runners. You can see Jamie Whincup on the inside of Kevin Estre for second position, but Kevin Estre is able to hold on, and Johnny Adam has slingshot his way past around the outside of the Onyx and is through to second place. So a great start for Johnny Adam as they go through the Mandarin section for the first time. So it's Marcello who leads, Adam second. There's already a car in the barrier. It's Al Bamber who is out of the race in the Jaguar. Last season's Macau Grand Prix winner has only made it past the first two corners. No one else was involved, but both of the left-hand side tyres had come off And that's Bamba's race over. What a shame. And that's the first retirement. And Jaguar's first attempt here in Macau has not got off to the best of starts. Marcello leads the way, and it's Kevin Esther in second place, getting back ahead of Johnny Adam. By the time they got to Lisboa, Jamie Whincup in 4th position, Shane van Gisbergen, League 2 Drivers Champion in 5th, with Rem DeAngelis, Yia Fee, Pascal Verline, Nick Tandy and Philip Hansen rounding out the top 10. This is the highest that Rafael Marcello has been in since his maiden win in the League 2 Laguna Seca Grand Prix in Season 3. Part of the 1-2 for the team, which saw Ed Spencer's squad be promoted to League 1. I look forward to another campaign in the top flight when Season 6 comes around. And there's an overtake from Nick Tandy on the inside there on Pascal Verline for 8th position. Nice move there at Melco from the Cooper Kiro pilot. Another team who'll have every good reason to celebrate following Jamie Whincup's win last week in Buriram. We saw them go up to League 1 and want to decide on his driver pairing for next season. That one is done, and there's a car already in the pit lane, and that's Philip Hansen, who was running inside the top 10 and now he's having to make his way into pit road, which is not good news for him. And there is Jamie Whincup going through on Johnny Adam at Lisboa, and that's the Cooper Kiro going by. Great pass there from Jamie Whincup through into the top 3. Great stuff. Another driver heading for the pit lane is Rio Hirakawa, would you believe? So 2 cars in the pit lane at the end of lap number 1. That moves Scott Dixon into the top 10. And another driver, believe it or not, has made his way up into 11th place, Antonio Felix da Costa. Guess where he started? 24th position. 3rd to last. He's made up 13 positions on the first lap. Here's Whincup in 3rd place, holding up Adam, Van Gisbergen, and the 2 Lanciers of DeAngelis and Yee. And there is Brendan Hartley locking up, running a little too deep there, but survives. Hartley being drafted in season in place of Mitch Evans. Australian being replaced by a Kiwi. It feels like the Kiwis had the better spell towards the end of the season compared to how Evans did at the beginning of it. Look at Felix Rosenquist, and he isn't exactly going at the greatest of speeds, and he's been passed there by Philip Albuquerque, and there's the reason why. The front wing is gone on the arrows. Look at Kevin Estra in 2nd place. Rosenquist will be in the pit lane for a new nose section. So he drops further down the order, right on board with Kelly Robert Parrott in the Lola. The team will be ruining the double non-finish in Buriram last week, costing them not only the team cycle, but promotion as well. His teammate Marcus Ericsson is 2 positions back in 22nd place. And there we look at Roman DeAngelis, who's trying to make his way past Johnny Adams, being overtaken by Shane van Gisbergen earlier on in the lap. And out goes Joseph Newgarden. Now, judging by that onboard, it looks like he may have hit the barrier. Has hit the barrier, and that's over at Lisboa this time. And both of the Jaguars races are over after 2 laps here in Macau. Newgarden out of the race and goes no further. There is Cooper Kiro of Jamie Whincup in 3rd position. His teammate Nick Tandy is behind in 8th place. And he's also pulling to the side, is Tandy. And it's a gearbox problem that sidelines him and he's also out of the race. Three drivers out of this so far. We look at Luke Browning behind the Force India of Jean-Eric Verne. Competing again here in Macau. And the other driver that has won here in the Grand Prix series is Marcus Ericsson. It'll take some doing for him to repeat the feat again here. Earl Bamber, the other race winner here, is already out of the race. More bad news for Giacomo Pagliaro's team. Pascal Wehrlein has had to come into the pit lane with some form of issue, and it's a throttle problem that's forced him in. And there's Estra Soin in the Onyx. Kevin Estra out after 3 laps. After a stellar season, contributing to the team's championship, in League One, Estra goes no further. And that promotes Jamie Winkup up into 2nd position. And Shane van Gisbergen is up into 3rd place as well. Course of the way through this one. And there's a yellow flag out there. And who's that for? That's Scott Dixon's rear wing gone missing. More woes for Ryan Ferris' team. And it's a driver error from Scott Dixon. And he's been clipped by the Fonmetal of Antonio Felix da Costa. So Dixon's rear wing has been wiped off from the Armco. And da Costa didn't have anywhere to go, did he? So I don't expect any action being taken on that. Dixon's got a long way back to the pit lane. No further action is going to be taken. The 2 drivers that came together. And that's Ericsson's race over as well in the Lola. Whatever happens, we will have a new race winner here in Macau. Both Ericsson and Bamber, the previous race winners in the Grand Prix Series Macau Grand Prix, have retired. Contrast Rafael Marcello leading the way. You see Jean-Eric Verne dodging his way past the wounded Scott Dixon. We'll quickly run down the setups for each of the teams. Onyx are running a neutral setup, Arrows mid-downforce, Ducati and Fonmetal mid-top speed, Cubic Hero mid-downforce, and there's another car in the barrier, that's Roman Diantis, who's also out of the race. He's running in 6th position behind his teammate Yi Yiffy, but the Canadian has had a spin that has ripped off the right rear, and that's his race over. Cubic Hero gone for a mid-downforce setup, Jaco a mid-top speed, but that's hardly relevant to them now. Lola maximum downforce, HRT neutral, Lancia mid-downforce, Minardi neutral, Sac speed, BAR and Force India have all gone for mid-downforce. Through goes Robin Frines on Kelly Robin Power for 14th position, a good move there from Robin Frines. He didn't have the best of qualifying, so that's Winkup drifting his way through Lisboa, and that could have ended up in the same way. Happened to Joseph Newgarden earlier. Scott Dixon comes in for repairs. He's not had the best of luck in this Macau event, as Scott Dixon meanwhile top of the race with Felix Rosenquist, who will be on fresher tyres. So consolation for him is going for that. You never know with Macau, even if it is a 12-lap race. There's Winkup in P2, ahead of Shane van Gisbergen. Johnny Adam is 4th, it's Yi Yiffy in 5th place. And Tony Fisticos has now been to 6th from 24th. Remarkable stuff from Antonio Fisticos. Can he go even further? Mugello will certainly hope that that is not the case. Dominating so far, but it's not over by any means, as Mugello completes lap number 5. There is Winkup, there's Van Gisbergen and Adam. And Yiffy is the latest to come into the pit lane, so he's also got problems with his car. It's a brake problem for the Chinese driver. Considering he's the most local to the racetrack compared to the other drivers, that won't do his fans any smiles by any means, but at least he'll stay in the race. Halfway point in the race now. There's Winkup in second place. Looking to build on his success last week. He's gone into the barrier and the rear wing is broken. He's been taken out by Shane Van Gisbergen. The Australian is out of the race. And that's the end of the day's work for Ed Hunter's team. And it was similar to what happened to Scott Dixon. He came back into the path of another driver, and the same has happened here. So don't expect Van Gisbergen to be penalised for that. Winkup out of the race. And that's both of the Cooper Kiros gone. Scott Dixon's come back into the pit lane again with more issues. It's the second pit stop for Dixon. It's not the way he'll want to end his season. There are no championship points up for grabs in this race. It is a non-championship event. Pride is on the line. And it's also game over for Robin Frines. And he rebounds back onto the racing line. That's not going to do any favours to the other drivers. So Verline gets round him. Yiffy gets round him. How long will it be before he gets over the barrier via the crane? He's over now. Van Gisbergen in second position. Arrows will not let both of the cars home. It's unlikely that Rosenquist will come away with anything positive from this one. Van Gisbergen locking up slightly, just about making the corner at Lisboa. Keeping up with him, trying to put as much pressure as he can on him. As the laps tick down. So Lodland running in 11th position. Time to talk about the calendar for next season. No driver lineups have been confirmed yet, but the draft will commence for that once the Macau Grand Prix is done and dusted. Again, next season at Road America in the USA, Spurn just about avoids the barrier. We then go to Westwood in Canada, which is also another new venue for the Grand Prix series. We go to more familiar territory in Curitiba, Brazil. By de los Funes. Hasn't hosted a Grand Prix Series event before, but has hosted an event in the Nations Cup. We go to the Grand Prix of the Americas, which will be over in Sebring. Then we kickstart the European leg at Dijon-Bourgogne in France on the short layout, followed by Ricardo Tormo in Spain, Marrakesh in Morocco, which is the African round for the season. By Donington in Great Britain, Hockenheim in Germany on the old layout, with Anderstorp in Sweden, and then we've got the Grand Prix of Europe, which will be in Mugello, Italy. Round 13 will be in Hanoi, Vietnam, Sepang, Malaysia for round 14, and we go to Buriram, Thailand. It's the Grand Prix of Asia, which will be in Motegi, Japan. The final 2 rounds will be in the Oceania continent, Phillip Island, Australia, and Manawatu, New Zealand. And once all those championship races are done, we finish off with the Grand Prix Series Macau Grand Prix, involving the 13 highest scoring teams across the 2 leagues. Really looking forward to next season. Just to remind you that the brake horsepower, downforce and reliability have equalised between the cars for this race. See Adam just keeping up with Shane Van Gisbergen, and Antonio Costa doing a tremendous job, up 20 positions from the back of the grid. Behind him is Julian Anlower, got Brendan Hartley, Philip Albuquerque is in 7th place, and it's John O'Fern, Kevin Magnussen and Luke Browning. Scott Dixon posts a new fast lap of the race. And Philip Hansen has spun. See whereabouts he's managed to do that. That's over at one of the left-handers of this circuit. That might be turn 10 or turn 14. Gets going again. He has lost a few positions. Drama! Marcello in the pit lane. Rafael Marcello has had to come into the pit lane with an electrical problem. Unbelievable luck for team manager Ed Spencer. Not what he needed, and that hands the lead to Shane Van Gisbergen with 4 laps remaining. Up into 2nd place goes Johnny Adam, and Antonio Costa has now been to 3rd place. Marcello rejoins in 12th. Dixon, meanwhile, is doing his best to stay in this race. He's already pitted twice. Judging by the second times, he's not exactly going quick. And neither is Kevin Magnussen. Front suspension failure has put him out of the race. Race over for the Dane, and that's his season done and dusted on his return with 3 race victories in Aruba, Fuji and Sepang. This was in the championship fight heading into the finale before he retired quite early on. Costa in P3, 7.5 seconds off the lead. Navigates this way through the notorious Melco hairpin. Towards the last corner. I think Dixon may be back in again for a 3rd time because his sector times were woeful on the lap he was on. It's not showing up as being on the pit lane, yes. He might have just carried on. Scott McLaughlin is the latest to come into the pit lane for HRT. So whilst Luke Browning may not be suffering issues at the moment, McLaughlin has had to come in. He was running in the top 10, but now he's having to sort whatever the problem is out. 3 laps remaining. Gisbergen's lead is 2.2 seconds over 2nd place Johnny Adam. Robin Power has had a really strong time of it in the Grand Prix Series, despite the fact that Lola had missed out on promotion. 2 race wins, 6 poles in 9 starts. Really impressive. I imagine his name's going to be in the hat for a team manager next season. Dixon is back in the pit lane. Now, I thought he had an issue. He's having to come in, and the chances are he's going to end up going a lap down, which is very unusual here in Macau. And Gisbergen has started the penultimate lap of the race. Managing the gap over Adam. Adam still feels victory is on the cards. Well, it may well do, because Schaefer Gisbergen has slowed down. Parking up at Lisboa, Van Gisbergen is out. Well. Sax Speed have never won in the Grand Prix Series in 4 seasons. This won't count towards their total in terms of the old-time stats, but could they be on course for their first win of any sort in the Grand Prix Series? Johnny Adam is the new race leader. Scott McLaughlin is on the attack with Ryo Hirakawa around the outside at Madrid, and that was too risky to do it there. It was never going to come off for Scott McLaughlin. Johnny Adam leads, and Tony Felix da Costa is second. And it's Julian Anlower making it 2 Sax Speeds in the top 3. Brendan Hartley is 4th now, with Philip Albuquerque 5th. Johnny Adam. His prayers may be answering with the way this race has gone. It's certainly been more of an attrition than the previous 2 editions. With 1 lap remaining and 6.2 kilometres to go, who knows what the last lap could bring here. Could Sax Speed get 2 cars on the podium? Scott Dixon trying to unlap himself from his old adversary Antonio Felix da Costa. No way through for Dixon. And lower in P3. And someone's smoking up behind. It's Jean-Eric Verne in the Force India. On the last lap, he's out of the race. Through goes Luke Browning. He's got a long way to get to the flag as well. I don't think Verne's going to make it. Surely not. Oh, and Hartley stops as well. Brendan Hartley is stopped. And both of the Ducatis have retired. In the final couple of laps of the race, Hartley is out. And that's 4th place gone. A more drama. Adu is out. Johnny Adu has crashed out on the final lap here in Macau. It looks like a third issue for the Sax Speeds. And that's going to be disappointment for team manager Chris Hosey, who had never won in the Grand Prix Series before. And it's not going to happen here. The front right comes off. And Johnny Adams' race is over and done with. We've got about 3 kilometres to go. That is heartbreak. And into the lead goes Antonio Felix da Costa, who has started the race from way back in 24th position. And in the unlikeliest of circumstances, is going to be taking victory. Scott Dixon's trying to unlap himself from the Fomitel, but he's not going to have any time to do that. Fomitel have tasted victory at this event with Marcus Ericsson in Season 3. They're about to do so again with their Portuguese pilot of Antonio Felix da Costa. Out of the final corner he comes. Antonio Felix da Costa wins the Macau Grand Prix in the Grand Prix Series to wrap up the season in the most dramatic of fashion. Julian Adlower finishes second. It's Philip Albuquerque who completes the top 3. 2 Portuguese drivers on the podium here in Macau. Luke Browning is in 4th place. It's Kelly Rotherpower who makes it up to 5th, ahead of Raphael Marcello, who recovers to 6th, but the victory was so very nearly his. Pascal Furline 7th with Yia Feet, finished Rosenquist. Scott McLaughlin rounds out the top 10, followed by Ria Hirakawa and Philip Hansen, who are the last drivers on the lead lap. It's victory for Antonio Felix da Costa. For the first time in his Grand Prix Series career, he is the winner of the Macau Grand Prix. Julian Anlow at 2nd, Philip Albuquerque is in 3rd place, followed by Luke Browning in 4th, Kelly Rotherpower 5th, Raphael Marcello in 6th place after being on pole. Then we've got Pascal Verline 7th, Yia 8th, Felix Rosenquist, the reigning champion in the Grand Prix Series, making it to 9th, and Scott McLaughlin in the top 10. Ria Hirakawa 11th, followed by Philip Hansen. Johnny Adam crashed out from the lead on the final lap. Brendan Hartley also stopped. Sean Fern also retired. Scott Dixon made it to the end in 16th place, a lap down. Shane van Gisbergen also retired with mechanical gremlins, classified in 17th place. Kevin Maxson retired with suspension problems. Robin Fines also dropped out, likewise for Jamie Whincup. Remy DeAngelis crashed into the barrier. Marcus Ericsson retiring with gearbox failure. Kevin Estra also out, along with Nick Tandy. And we had the 2 Jaguars, Joseph Newgarden and El Bamba, also not finishing. The pole position and the fast lap going to Raphael Marcello. What an incredible conclusion to the Grand Prix Series in Season 5. The Macau Grand Prix in the last 2 editions weren't exactly classics, but this one most certainly was. Congratulations to Antonio Felix da Costa from 24th on the grid, leaping up to victory on the final lap. One of the most dramatic conclusions. Incredible stuff. Congratulations to the League 1 Drivers' Champion, Felix Rosenquist, the Grand Prix Series Champion. He'll hope to retain that next season. And also congratulations to Onyx and Ryan Ferris on wrapping up the Teams Championship in the same division. In League 2, the Drivers' Champion of Shane van Gisbergen, he'll be hoping to keep up with that when he and Ducati race in League 1. And congratulations to team manager Sam Hall on the success he's managed to achieve, bouncing back at the first time of asking. And of course, we congratulate Jaguar and Cooper Kiro with their team managers Ed Hunter and Mike Smith. They'll hope to keep their League 1 status by the time Season 6 is done and dusted. I'll leave for Topher Smith to wrap up things. Thank you so much for tuning in throughout this season. I hope you've enjoyed it. I most certainly have done. And we'll hope that Season 6 lives up to just that. I'll see you for the first round of Season 6 at Road America. And I'll leave for Topher to wrap up things in Macau. And I'll see you next season. Topher, over to you, sir.
24th on the grid to the top step of the podium. What a result. What a race by Antonio Felix da Costa, who becomes our 3rd ever Macau Grand Prix winner. It didn't look like it's going to go his way for a lot of that race. We had a lot of different leaders, a lot of different action there, with Johnny Adam looking like he was set to take the victory before a throttle issue threw him into the barrier on the last lap. What a race that was. So much action going on there. And Ewan Gale, he was disappointed with the team in qualifying, but he will be really happy to see his driver standing on the top step of the podium after that. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is Season 5 done and dusted. The Grand Prix World Series has once again delivered a truly spectacular season, and preparations will now start for Season 6, where the driver draft is sure to spice up the order. We will see new drivers in new teams. We might even see a different pecking order going into Season 6. We can't wait to get that underway, and we can't wait to have your company for all of that as well. So, as ever, thank you so much for tuning in. It is always a pleasure to have your company, and we can't wait to have you along for the ride in Season 6. So until then, I'm Topher Smith. Take care.